The Classic TV channel is your happy trails to golden oldies television from the 1940s through the formative years of the 1950s and 60s. Enjoy restored TV shows Mickey Rooney Show, Groucho Marx, Trouble with Father, Terry and the Pirates, One Step Beyond, Beverly Hillbillies, Bonanza, The Lucy Show, Dick Van Dyke, Annie Oakley, Ozzie and Harriet, The Howdy Doody Show, and many, many more. Binge your night away. So return with us now to those golden days of yesteryear.
A public defender is an attorney employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. The first public defender's office in the United States was opened in January 1913. Over the years, other offices were opened. And today, that handful has grown to a network of lawyers cooperating to protect the rights of our clients. This case involved one of my most promising deputies and the great personal problem he had to face in the course of his duty.
Why don't you reconsider, Chris? Come into my business with me, and I'll even change the name of the firm to Pierce and Holt.
Pierce and Holt?
You see, Chris, my business has been growing so fast. I can't tell you what a relief it would be to have a good lawyer as a partner.
Not a good lawyer, Dad. The best.
I appreciate your offer, Ben, but like I said before, I like what I'm doing.
Oh, Chris. Help me, Father. Help me convince him that...
You're a married woman now, Phyllis, and it's up to you and Chris to solve your own problems.
We'll work it out. Somehow.
I hope so. In any event, my offer still goes. I shall be in town for a couple of weeks. Perhaps we can talk about this again.
Can I give you a ride to your hotel?
Oh, no, thanks, Chris. I'll grab a cab. See you tomorrow, baby. Thanks, Chris. Good night.
Good night, Ben. Now, honey, listen to me.
I don't want to listen. You're a stubborn, pig-headed man who has to have everything his own way.
But, Phyllis, it's just...
All right. But one of these days, you're going to have it all your own way. By yourself.
Chris Holt and his wife were fast approaching the crossroads in their marriage. And that very night, a chain of events began which would affect their lives very deeply.
Mom, I'm home. Hi, Mom. What's for dinner? What's wrong?
Your father's back. They let him out a couple of weeks ago.
He didn't even let us know. Is he all right?
Take a look for yourself, Billy boy. You must have grown 2 feet while I was away.
It's 6 years. You haven't changed much.
Just smarter, son. Put her there. He's got a grip like an ox. I'm going to show you how to use those muscles. I got plans for us.
Pete.
Come on, let's take a ride in my car.
How'd you get a car?
Bought it, of course. Come on, let's take a spin.
Where'd you get the money to buy a car?
Found it under a rock.
Dad, give Mom a break. You're a 2-time loser. If you get caught again, they'll lock you up for keeps. It'll kill Mom.
Don't worry about me, Billy boy. I've learned a thing or two. Come on, let's go for that ride.
In another part of the city, it was near closing time for old Papa Hart.
Just like you. This is a boy who used to come here every day. Christopher Holt. He studied hard, made his way through law school, and now he is deputy public defender. I told him exactly what I am telling you. No matter what you want to do when you grow up, you have to make your mind obey. Look, everything you see up here. Huh? Oh, it's late, Joey. Take your jelly beans and go home. Tomorrow is another day.
Play just one more memory game with me, Papa. Please?
All right. One more and then off you go. Ready?
82, 411.
Right.
91, 175.
Just like your father used to be. Quick, quick.
I bet you if my father had come home from the war, he'd have been the best lawyer in the whole world.
Maybe that's what you will be, Joey, huh?
Maybe, but not as good as my father. Night, Papa.
Night, Joey.
What happened that night in Papa Hart's candy store was not to be known for some time. Not until Chris Holt had pieced the puzzle together the hard way.
I'm sorry. I must have been a very spoiled child.
You still are.
I can't stand it when you're angry with me.
I'm not angry.
I don't mean to be one of those ambitious wives, but
How about some music?
it's just that
Just music.
Isaac Hart, affectionately known as Papa to hundreds of kids, lies hovering between life and death. The victim of a brutal beating by a vagrant hitchhiker captured at the scene of the crime and identified by the police as Billy Jones.
The court referred the case of Billy Jones to the public defender's office. Billy Jones, 17 years old. The charge, robbery and assault with a deadly weapon. No witnesses, and the boy says that he's innocent. It's all yours, Chris. Something wrong?
I've just come from the hospital. I've known Papa Hart all my life.
How is he?
Still unconscious. Spent a lot of time in that candy shop when I was a kid. He should have been a teacher, Papa Hart. Now I'm going to defend the man accused of possibly beating him to death.
Accused of, but not proven guilty.
Bart, I've never had a case like this where I knew the victim. Do I have to take this one?
They come that way sometimes. Now, I'm busy in trial, and you're the only man available. I want you to take it, Chris, but I want you to remember that any bit of evidence can make the difference between winning or losing a case. Something bothering you, Chris?
I just have a lot on my mind.
And if Billy Jones is innocent, what do you think is on his mind? Good luck.
The evidence collected by the police definitely places you at the scene of the crime.
I didn't do it.
Then who did? Are you trying to protect someone?
I'm not trying to do anything.
Where did you come from, Billy?
Out of town.
And where were you going?
Out of town? That's just what I've been telling the police for the last 24 hours.
The police claim they have an airtight case. Do you want to plead guilty?
I'm not guilty.
Can't you understand? If I'm going to help you, I have to know the truth.
I've told it over and over again. When I went into the store, the old man had already been attacked. He was lying on the floor, bleeding and unconscious. I went to the front door to call for help, and the next thing I knew, a cop had me handcuffed.
You're sure that's the whole story, Billy?
The whole story. You still gonna try and help me?
Sure, Billy. We'll enter a plea of not guilty.
Don't free Jones, convict him.
Some crackpot.
Crackpot, huh? Don't you know what the public is saying about you? That it's a crime to spend the state's money on this case.
The boy is entitled to a fair trial and to a lawyer to defend him.
And who defended Papa Hart when Billy Jones attacked him?
He claims he's innocent.
And you believe him? Well, the whole neighborhood thinks you're crazy. Well, I walk down the street and people just look at me. Well, can't you see what's happening, Chris? You haven't a chance. Let's get out of here. We can go away with Father and...
A man is innocent until
He's proven guilty, I know. I know. You know, when we were first married, I kept saying to myself, someday Chris is going to wake up. Someday he's going to stop trying to be a do-gooder and think about his wife and himself.
Phyllis, how can I make you understand?
You can't. Look at you. You're exhausted. And an hour late for our dinner with Father.
I wanted to come home earlier, but I've been running all over town. You've got to understand, a boy's life is at stake.
Father's waiting, Chris.
I can't go out to dinner tonight.
Chris, I mean it. Either you give this case up or...
Chris, is being a public defender worth all this? Phyllis talking about a divorce and your neighbors up in arms?
Neighbors will get over it.
But what about Phyllis?
When Mother Pierce was alive, did she tell you how to live your life then?
No. She tried.
Did she succeed?
No, Chris, I made my own decisions.
Well, if it isn't the public defender himself.
Speak of the devil.
Hello, Ed, Janie.
Ed, I'm going to tell him exactly what I think. I think you're a disgrace to the legal profession.
Look, Ed, Janie,
Don't you Ed and Janie us. A young thug beats a poor old man half to death. The police catch him, and you appoint yourself a committee of one to turn him loose.
You tell him, baby.
Poor Phyllis. No wonder she hates your job.
By the time you finish, she'll end up hating you, too. Come on, let's have some fun. Let's go beat somebody up. Good old Chris Holt will always get us off.
Friends of yours?
They were.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Forget it. Guess it's best to know where you stand.
Is there anything you want me to say to Phyllis?
Just that I love her. Stone walls every place I go. Police file, hall of records, newspapers. Not one shred of information about Billy Jones. And he keeps repeating the same story.
Maybe it's the only story he has to tell. What's your hunch?
I'm positive he's not in this alone.
Who is he protecting?
I don't know. But if this keeps up, I'll need protection.
We haven't lost a public defender yet.
Always the first time. Bart, what's the matter with everybody? Don't they realize I'm just trying to do a job?
That isn't the point.
What is?
Believing that what you're doing is right.
Bart,
Phyllis still living with her father? What are you going to do about that?
I want her back, Bart. More than anything in the world.
More than you want to prove Billy Jones innocent?
Bart, I have a life to lead, too. Isn't mine as important as Billy Jones?
Trying to tell me that you want to quit, Chris?
No.
No, just compromise, huh? Look, Chris, don't you think I know what you're going through? In my first 2 years here, I wanted to resign at least 7 times. Till I found that it was easier to live with a problem than it was to run away from it. Now, if you don't face this one, how do you think Billy Jones is going to feel? Especially if he's telling the truth.
I'm getting a court order to have Billy Jones taken out to the scene of the incident.
But Chris made a first stop at the hospital. He had just received news that Papa Hart had regained consciousness.
Papa, the doctors made me promise not to have you talk any more than necessary. All I want you to do is look at someone. Then answer one question. Do you understand?
My glasses. I broke my glasses.
I've had them fixed. Papa, is this the man who attacked you?
No.
You're sure, Papa?
Older man. Taller.
Thanks, Papa. Get well quick, my friend. Funny how small a place looks when you've been away from it a long time. Jawbreakers.
What did you bring me back here for? You heard Mr. Hart. He said I wasn't the one who hit him. What more do you want?
I don't know. I just thought you might remember something.
Well, there's nothing to remember. Nothing. Nothing. Just let me get out of here.
All right, officer. Take him back. Hello.
I thought Papa Hart was back.
Well, not for a while. He was hurt pretty badly.
That's the guy who beat him up. I saw his picture in the paper.
You one of Papa's boys? So am I.
What are you taking his side for?
I'm his lawyer. I used to come in here every day. Do you? Did you ever see Billy Jones around here? Was he ever in the store?
No.
What's your name, son?
Adams. Joy Adams.
Ted Adams' son? I knew your father. Joey, did you see Papa Hart the day he was hurt?
What do you want to know for? Just so you can get that Billy Jones off?
If I can prove he didn't do it, yes. How late were you in the store that night?
Until Papa closed.
Was there a car outside?
I won't help you get that Billy Jones off. I won't. I won't. Mr. Holt, I did see a car.
What kind?
A 2-door black hardtop. And the license number is X244041.
Joey, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A lawyer?
All right, boy. Papa would buy us both a soda on that. A big one.
Because an old man played a memory game with a little boy, Chris Holt found his first tangible clue. The License Bureau quickly supplied the name and address of the car's owner, Peter Roberts, 411 Maywell Street.
Mrs. Roberts, Billy is your son, isn't he?
Yes.
I can't understand you. Surely you know that Billy is in jail.
Yes.
And yet you, his own mother, didn't care enough about him to make an appearance in his behalf.
Well, I...
Has he been a bad son?
No.
Is Pete Roberts your husband?
Yes.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Where is the car? How did that happen? Forgive me for probing, Mrs. Roberts. I'm only trying to help Billy.
What's going to happen to him?
Unless I can prove he's innocent, you'll get the maximum penalty. And if Mr. Hart, the victim, dies...
Oh, no, no. Billy's such a good boy. He's always worked hard, helped support me.
Do you think he's guilty?
Never. Never in a million years.
Yet you haven't even been to see him. Why? Mrs. Roberts, if you don't want to see Billy's life ruined, don't you hold back. Tell me the truth.
I guess that's what I've always done. Held back, not faced the truth. The other day when it happened, Billy's father came home after 6 years in the state penitentiary. Seems like all my life I've been waiting for Billy's father to come home, praying he'd stop stealing, stop hurting people. I didn't care much anymore what he did to me. And I knew Billy was a good boy. I knew he'd never be able to reach him. And that's why I thought when this terrible thing happened, I thought, they can't do anything to Billy. They wouldn't. He's just a kid. Pete's his father. And if they arrest him again... Oh.
You love your husband so much you're willing to sacrifice your own son?
I don't care if I ever see my husband again.
Where is he?
He'll be home for dinner. That's all he ever comes home for, to eat. And make more trouble.
Let me speak to John Arthur, Detective Division. John, this is Chris Holt, Public Defender's Office. Pick up a Pete Roberts, Roberts, at 411 Maywell Street. He's the father of Billy Roberts, the boy you're holding under the name of Billy Jones.
And the defendant, William Roberts, is hereby completely exonerated from the crime of which he was accused. And the case is dismissed. At this time, the court would like to take judicial note of the efforts of one man, Deputy Public Defender Christopher Holt. His determination, his desire for justice were in the highest traditions of the legal professions. Be it so noted. Court dismissed.
Hello, Phyllis.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
How are you, Ben?
Oh, fine, Chris. I was just leaving.
Please don't go, Father.
I'm sure that you two have a lot to talk over alone.
Stay just a little while. I don't know quite where to begin.
Why bother? You're here, and that's enough for me.
I'll get it. Hello? Yes, who's calling, please? Police headquarters. Here we go again.
Holt speaking. When? Right. Right. Will do.
Suppose that means you'll have to leave.
Wild horses couldn't make me leave this house tonight.
Oh, Chris.
Papa Hart recovered, and Pete Roberts got the penalty prescribed by law. The case you have just seen was brought to a fair and just conclusion through the efforts of a public defender. The public defender is a public servant employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. The case you're about to see made newspaper headlines not so long ago. The story of a man who almost killed another to keep what he wanted.
Sore? Who wouldn't have gotten sore? He was pushing me around. Something.
You picked up a drill, Joe, a pretty deadly weapon.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know what I was doing.
The report says you tried to kill him.
Well, maybe for a minute. But I never touched him with a drill. I swear I didn't. We started to fight, and the first thing I knew, there was the fire. You gotta believe me, Mr. Matthews. I can understand why Harrigan wants to frame me. But I'm not guilty, I swear it. I got a witness.
No, Joe, you haven't.
Well, Pete Logan was standing right there. He saw the whole thing. He can prove I'm telling the truth.
I'm sorry, but Logan says that he didn't know there was a fight until after the fire. Let me see what I can do, Joe. Mr. Harrigan?
That's me.
I'm Bart Matthews, Public Defender's Office.
This is my daughter, Mary.
How do you do, Miss Harrigan?
Hello.
What do you want to see me about?
I'm representing Joe Riley. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
I already told the cops all I know. He tried to kill me. I hope he gets what he deserves.
I'd better be going, Dad. I have to get back to the office.
Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, Miss Harrigan.
Goodbye.
Your charges and Joe's version of the fight seem to conflict.
He's lying. He never was any good. I never should have hired him.
You knew him before the job?
He worked for me on a bridge job a few years ago. It was booze and women then, and it still is.
Well, if he was that irresponsible, why did you hire him again?
I didn't want to. I had to.
Suppose you tell me something about it.
Well, all caisson work is tough. This North River job beat 'em all. Right from the beginning, we were hitting bone. Hitting bone, drilling hard rock. Mighty dangerous work when you're 50 feet below the bottom of a river. But there was more than the rock to contend with. There was water and cave-ins and dynamite. Let's go, boys! Yes, and there were the tempers of the men working in confined quarters. Men who spent most of their lives underground. Jim? Yeah. They want 6 feet by tomorrow night. 6 feet through bone. I'd like to have the whole gang of them down here. They couldn't ditch 6 inches. Maybe if we could get some help. Where? I got all the agencies in town looking. Panty wastes. They're afraid to do a man's work. They're liable to get their feet wet. Joe Riley's back in town. Him? I wouldn't have him on the job.
He can spud, Jim. You said so yourself. Right now, we need help bad.
Not that bad. Come on, drill. Push that dirt! Move! We got a tunnel to build. Come on, Red. It's on me, Joe.
Well, hard-hearted Harrigan buying me a drink. The name is Joe Riley, remember?
I remember. Been in town long?
Oh, a couple of weeks. Colorado, putting up a couple of bridges.
Broke?
Why not? You wouldn't be offering me a job, would you, Harrigan?
Could be.
No.
What do you mean, no?
Once is enough. I like my bosses straight, not supercharged. Or have you become more human lately?
I need a driller, Joe. We're pushing bone. Pays good.
They pay better in South America. Hey, you think them senoritas would go for me?
I heard you were playing poker the other night.
I didn't think you cared.
Oh, just trying to get you off the hook.
Get who off the hook? Me or you? Sure. I owe money, but I'm not worried. That North River job you got's an 8-ball. You've been crying all over town for drillers. Buying me a drink ain't friendship.
Okay, I'm in trouble. I'll pay you $1 an hour extra.
You ain't in enough trouble.
$2.
2.5.
7 o'clock in the morning, Joe. There'll be overtime if you've got the guts to stick it out.
Well, I guess them senoritas will just have to wait.
Joe reported to the job that morning and worked overtime for the next week or so. Harrigan wouldn't admit it, but Joe made the rugged schedule possible. He was setting the pace.
Eagle screams today, boys. Vincent, Page, Riley. Oh.
Easy come, easy go. How about you and me making it go tonight?
Lay off, Riley.
I can dream, can't I?
Logan. Harrigan.
Thank you, Devin. Hey, just a minute.
Yes?
Take it easy, Jim. Mary can take care of herself.
Oh, there are a few things here I don't understand. The numbers.
That represents the job number.
Oh. And this?
That's the contract number.
And this one here.
It's your Social Security number. Really, Mr. Riley, you did know that one, didn't you?
Sure. I just wanted to talk to you. You got a nice voice.
Thank you.
Oh, well, just a minute. I was serious. I mean, about taking you out.
But I'm sorry, but I can't.
Oh, I look much better in a pinstripe suit.
I'm sure you do. You must be irresistible.
Just passable. There's a good show playing. We can have dinner and take it in. How about Saturday night?
Hey, Riley.
Well, how about it?
You're being paged.
Ah, don't worry about Rockhead. He's just my boss.
Rockhead happens to be my father.
Finish up your lunch, Riley. You're losing time.
Well, it was very nice meeting you, Miss Harrigan. I'll see you Saturday night.
Mary, you're not going out with him, are you?
I think he takes a lot for granted.
Stay away from him. He's no good. He chases anything in skirts.
Stop worrying about me. I bet he does look good in a pinstripe suit.
I told her about the guy that night. Everything. And I warned her again. But Riley kept bothering her.
Did she go out with it?
A few times. But it was nothing serious.
I see.
Mary's just a kid. She didn't know much about men. And I was right about Riley. Look what happened. He came after me with a drill. He tried to kill me.
Tell me, Mr. Harrigan, could his going out with Mary have anything to do with the fight?
I told him to leave her alone.
Did you do anything to start the fight?
No.
You tried to protect yourself.
He might be 20 years younger than I am, but in a fair fight, I'd tear him to pieces.
It's a serious charge, attempted murder.
Riley should have thought of that when he came after me.
If he's convicted, he can go to prison for 10 years.
That's where he belongs, in jail.
Mr. Harrigan, are you sure that you're telling me the truth about that fight?
I tell you, he tried to kill me. You're making a mistake defending him. He's dangerous. Everybody would be better off without him.
That's the way you feel?
You bet that's the way I feel.
You're like a daughter to me, Mary. I hate to see you like this.
I can't help it. I'm so confused.
Everything will work out all right.
I don't know what to believe anymore. I know it's my fault, but why did Joe have to do it? Why did it have to happen?
I'd like to see Miss Harrigan.
You'll make it some other time. Mary isn't feeling very good.
Rather important.
Please, Mr. Logan, ask him to come in. I thought I answered all of your questions.
I thought you did too, but now I'm not so sure.
I know it's your job to defend Joe, Mr. Matthews. But how could there possibly have been any justification for what he did? He tried to kill my father.
That's not Joe's story.
I don't care what he told you. He couldn't have been telling the truth.
Now, Joe says that you were a witness to the whole fight.
I didn't know there was a fight till after.
What more proof do you need?
Lots more, Miss Harrigan. It's your father's word against Joe's. Despite the testimony, I find it hard to believe that Joe is guilty.
Well, you can believe what you want to. You're his attorney.
I have reason to believe the way I do, Miss Harrigan. Now, I've made a thorough check on Joe. I know all the jobs he's had in the last 10 years. I've talked to most of the people he worked for. They like him. There isn't one of them who wouldn't give him a job right now. Sure, he was a stone. He liked his fun. He had disagreements, but he was never mean or ugly. This is the first time in his life he was ever arrested. Now, Miss Harrigan, does this sound like the background of a man who would try to kill your father?
My father said he did.
Why? Why would he try to kill your father?
I can't talk about it anymore.
You know, Joe, you've been out with him. Do you feel that he's guilty?
I don't know what I feel.
Easy, honey.
I haven't slept a wink since it happened. It was so sudden. Dad in the hospital and Joe in jail. I've been afraid to let myself think.
You haven't told me everything, Miss Harrigan. Maybe you should.
I've got to, Mr. Matthews. I can't keep this inside of me any longer.
When did you first go out with Joe?
It was just a few days after I met him at the tunnel. I didn't let Dad know about it. We went to a show, and then after that, we saw each other every weekend. No, Joe.
You're thinking of your father again.
I have to. I'm all he has in the world.
But you gotta break away someday.
I know it, but not yet.
Not yet? What are you waiting for? Look, we can't go on like this. You haven't even told him about us.
I can't, Joe. You know how he is. If he thought that you were dependable...
I am now, Mary. I want us to get married, to settle down, have a home.
I want those things, too. But I want him to like you, Joe. I want him to be glad that I'm marrying you.
That's a big order.
It's not too big if you'll try.
I'll try anything.
But then stop teasing him and rubbing him the wrong way. And stop finding nicknames for him.
But, honey, I'm only ribbing him.
I know, but he takes it seriously. Don't you see, Joe, he's competing with you, with the whole crew. He's always had to be the strongest and the best. And he just won't face the fact that he's getting older.
Honey, what do you want me to do?
You've got to get along with him, even if it means swallowing your own pride.
All right, if that's the way you want it. I'll have that big bone crusher eating out of the palm of my hand.
And remember, Joe, no more nicknames.
Joe Riley went back to work the next day, determined to win Jim Harrigan over.
Ease off, Pete. I'll take it a while.
We're on schedule, boss. Why push when you don't have to?
I'll quit pushing when I see light on the other side of the river.
We'll see light soon enough. Take it slow for a change.
Get back to your drilling, Riley. You're not being paid for advice.
I'll give you a hand.
I don't need a hand.
All you need's a little help.
I don't want any help. Get back to your drill.
Come on, let's try again.
Now get this straight, Riley. When I tell you to do something, do it. Now get back to that drill.
Easy, Joe. He barks a lot, but it don't hurt.
That guy's impossible. There's no getting along with him.
I know better. Where do you think I'd be if it weren't for him? He's kept me working all these years. I've got a home and practically a daughter when nobody else would have me.
You, maybe. But no one else likes him. They break their backs. What thanks do they get?
Well, maybe he don't show it, but he's loyal to those that stick.
Logan, Riley! Stop gabbing and get to work.
Sure. He's great. Great.
Joe, you shouldn't be here. Dad'll be home any minute.
I don't care. I want to talk to you.
What happened?
Get him to like me, you said. I've been practically crawled on my hands and knees trying to help him. I've been eating dirt for a whole week, and I'm sick of it.
Joe, nothing can be accomplished this way. You're angry.
I got a right to be.
You'll work it out some way, darling. Just be patient.
You've said that for the last month. Look, honey, we're getting married. You got my engagement ring, and you can't even wear it. What's the matter, Mary? Aren't you sure of me? Don't you love me?
You know I do.
Well, then what are we waiting for?
I don't want to hurt him. Don't you see, Joe, that he loves me, too? He spent his entire life working for me.
You gotta make up your mind. You can't have both of us.
Give me time to think about it, Joe.
What is there to think about?
Oh, I love you so much, darling.
Mary. Get out of here. Now, take it easy, Harrigan. We got a few things to tell you.
You heard me. Get out of here.
We love each other, Dad, and we're going to be married.
Marry him? Not while I'm around. How long's this been going on?
A couple of months.
Behind my back.
Be calm, Jim. This is for real.
You wouldn't know what that meant. I warned you. I told you to stay away from him. I told you it was never anything but booze and skirts for him, and you wouldn't listen.
You listen, Dad. Joe isn't like that at all. You were wrong.
If I ever catch you around this house again, I'll throw you out. If you ever try to see her again, I'll tear you apart. Now get out of here.
Dad, please.
I told you there was no use.
You're fired, Riley. Finished. Pick up your check tomorrow. I never want to see you again.
Dad shoved him out and slammed the door in his face. I haven't seen Joe since. I don't know what to believe, Mr. Matthews. I believe Dad and I believe Joe. All I know is that I love him. And I want to know the truth.
I'd like to know the truth, too, Miss Harrigan. And I think Mr. Logan can tell us what it is. Remember, it's not only Joe. It's Mary's happiness, her future.
You love him, Mary. You sure? You're right, Mr. Matthews. I know what happened. I saw it. I thought Harrigan would own up. I didn't know how it was between Mary and Joe. But first you gotta understand how it is between Harrigan and me. He saved my life once. He kept me working. He's my best friend.
I understand. Suppose you tell us how it happened.
I didn't know about the argument, so it didn't seem strange when Joe showed up for work the next morning.
You were fired.
That's right. I wanted to talk to you.
We got nothing to talk about. Your check is waiting for you. Pick it up and get out of here.
Look, Jim, we haven't got anything to fight about, especially now. You just don't understand about Mary.
I told you I never want to see you again. Now get going.
You can't split us up, no matter what you do. We're getting married.
I have to throw you out?
I'm hired by the week, not by the hour or the day, Harrigan.
Put down that drill.
Leave me alone, Harrigan.
Come on, Riley. Let's see how strong you are.
Don't tempt me, boss.
What's the matter, Riley? Afraid? Afraid of a man twice your age?
Okay, Harrigan. You're big and strong, a real champ. Now go throw your weight around somewhere else.
Him pull him out. They fought all right, Mr. Matthews, but Joe didn't try to kill him.
I think that's the real story, Mary. The truth.
You understand, Mary?
Now, I could confront your father with this testimony in court, but I think it would be better if you would straighten him out first, Mary.
I'll go right away, Mr. Matthews. When can I see Joe?
Soon. And he'll be glad to see you, too. On the basis of Jim Harrigan's testimony, the district attorney dropped the complaint, and Joe was released that day. Joe and Mary are married now. They've got an apartment just down the street from where Harrigan and Pete Logan live. They're friendly, except for an argument now and then about Junior. But aren't all father-in-laws that way? Now, the case you have just seen was brought to a fair and just conclusion through the efforts of a public defender. Tonight, Philip Morris salutes Public Defender Quinn M. Dickerson, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and his staff for outstanding achievement in the cause of justice. And now about next week's case. You'll see the unusual story of the actual courtroom trial of Carl Novak. accused of an ice-pick murder. See the facts placed before you and decide for yourself if you agree with the jury. Be with us next week when Philip Morris will present Your Witness, another exciting case from the files of the public defender.